There's a cost to be the boss.
We come across so many people that think they're the boss or think they're the man or think they're somebody, and then when it comes to spending a little money out of their pocket, they disappear like Houdini.
When you work like a job, like a salary job, sometimes people don't ask you what your salary is. They think it's weird, but when you run like a business or all commission job, people always ask, what do you make?
When you're in those beginning stages of entrepreneurship, people know that you're going to do something that they're not able to do or they're not willing to do, and they'd rather pull you back to mediocrity, because if you do freaking make it and you do it, then they're gonna be like, damn, I could have done that.
I think we're so zapped as a society to kind of live this post-industrial age mindset of go to school, get a good job, get a college degree, go that safe route. And that's fine for people that want to do that, but I think we were meant to create.
You have to understand that the information isn't gonna come and be served to you on a freaking platter. You have to sack up and get out there and meet people that have created a success.
You're an admirable, ethical, noble person, and you have honor, but you're also stand up for yourself. How do you find that middle ground?
Elasticity, that bounce back time per se, that's what will really help you, kind of stay neutral.
So the minute someone's in your business, everybody has a different hourglass of time that they're gonna stay in your business. Episode 4, there's a cost to be the boss.
That's a funny phrase. Where did that phrase start from?
I didn't make it up. I forget, somebody else said it. I don't know where I saw it. Maybe it was like a reel or on TV or something, but I just thought it was hilarious.
It's hilarious because I think in business, we come across so many people that think they're the boss or think they're the man or think they're somebody. And then when it comes to spending a little money out of their pocket, they disappear like Houdini. So that's why we use the phrase, there's a cost to be the boss.
No success without sacrifice.
That's it.
Pay the price, you got to roll the dice. There's a lot of phrases that come to mind when thinking of the sacrifices that it takes to be an entrepreneur. So I think on today's podcast, we want to focus on what does it take to be an entrepreneur, to be a leader, some of the pressures that go along with it. A lot of times I think people see the glory and the results, but they don't think of what it really took to get to that point, what you sacrificed. There's always an opportunity cost with anything in life.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I personally remember my beginning stages of entrepreneurship. I was selling life insurance and health insurance. And I came from a background, we just graduated college at that time. And, I was looking at salary jobs, like I said in prior episodes. I didn't want to do that. I went into life insurance. I put in the work. Work. What was work at the time? It was going to the office. It was cold calling people. It was going to pharmacies and making connections with pharmacists. It was going to doctors' offices, making connections with doctors. It was going to any kind of real estate get together, that kind of conference, so that I could get my name out there, get my business card out there, get me out there. It was going to church every Sunday to pray, but besides praying, to set up a table for health insurance or life insurance. I was doing those kinds of things, but my first 6 months, work. Maybe about 4 months in, I got my first check, and I made about like $2,200 or something like that. And then work, and made another like $2,500. My first year of nonstop work, I only made $5K, and that was in insurance. And I'll tell you this right now, 95% of people would not work in an industry where they put in 6 months of work to get $5K, get paid below minimum wage, legitimately. But I had the faith, I had the vision, and second year, third year, that really changed everything for me. But that's that beginning effort I think a lot of people lack when they want to learn about entrepreneurship and they want that microwave instant result mentality.
I think a big one is, so the book Think and Grow Rich, to follow on what you said, they say the 6 ghosts of fear. I think the biggest one is the fear of criticism. It goes. It's so relevant to everything that has to go into this episode. If there's a cost to be the boss, and we'll touch upon that theme of the fear of criticism throughout this. And the example you shared, for one thing, not only is it tough financially for you? Probably we're getting criticized. You have a college degree, you could get a salary job. What are you making 5K in a year? People always ask, when you work like a job, like a salary job, sometimes people don't ask you what your salary is. They think it's weird. But when you run like a business or all commission job, people always ask, what do you make from that? No, because you're curious, because it's different. It's something a little different. So talk about the fear of criticism, how that came up and how you overcame that.
Oh yeah. I had family members that were saying, "What the heck are you doing?" My own sister, I remember, were like, "You're a failure. What are you doing? Like, go get a job." Like, because I made 5K in a year, you get a job and get a 60K salary. That's what the offering was at the time. You could be making 5K a month. Why did you do all this to make 5K in a year? So I had a mentor and a couple mentors at the time, and one had said something that was very moving and very significant to me. And what the mentor said was, you can't take advice from somebody who is not living the way that you want to live. Number one. If number two, and if they're your family, you can't take advice from them if they're not paying your bills. If you're not paying my bills, then I don't want to hear what you have to say, because it doesn't change where I'm going. And I really ingrained those. I love them. I love those friends, love those uncles, love those family members. I respect them. I respect those friends, respect those people, respect those family members. But I was trying to create something that either they never created or they couldn't teach me how to create. So you have to learn how to tune those type of people out. There's more than just that as well. There's even friends and bad people that you could be around, and we'll get into that as well. But criticism, there's one other phrase too I'd like to say, is that, never, ever, 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 ever let somebody else see you in pain or in failure, or see you, with your emotions offset. Because when you're in those beginning stages of entrepreneurship, people know that you're going to do something that they're not able to do or they're not willing to do. And they'd rather pull you back to mediocrity, because if you do freaking make it and you do it, then they're going to be like, damn, I could have done that. And they'll cheer you on when you have the success. They'll cheer you on once you've created success. But in the stages of you getting there, they will point and laugh and say, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Because you're doing something out of the ordinary.
100%. No, you're spot on. So you have to avoid the fear of criticism with that. I think that that's something that happens in a lot of these different industries, whether it's coming up with a new idea, creating a product, starting a sales-based business, starting a podcast, doing something with art or music related, anything really that has to do with creativity. I think we're so zapped as a society to kind of live this post-industrial age mindset of go to school, get a good job, get a college degree, go that safe route. And that's fine for people that want to do that. But I think we were meant to create. We were meant to use that godlike subconscious mind to imprint ideas and then go and execute on that. And I think when you're doing that, you're super happy, but your conscious mind has been so trained to find it weird to do that, that you have to really overcome that fear of criticism throughout that process. I think another thing that's super important is when you're taking the next level of success in business and really going out there on your own, you're going to crack a lot of eggs to make an omelet. And I think a lot of people in entrepreneurship, you don't need to be like a confrontational, aggressive person, but you need to be willing to stand your ground and be firm. There's a way to do it professionally as well. Some people like myself, always been a confrontational type of person. I've learned to massage that a little bit and be more gentle with it. You're more laid back, but you've held firm with your beliefs and always had a good backbone. How important would you say that is? Because you can be polite and be professional, but still not let people take advantage of you.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that kind of plays into, when you're in those stages, early stages in developing an entrepreneurship. I cut out all people that weren't walking in the same direction as me. Either A, you've created success in a different industry in entrepreneurship, then we're friendly and we have conversations once in a while. Or B, you're working with me in the same industry and we're colleagues and we talk often and we're going together in the same direction. Or you're working in my company, you're working with me side by side, or, But if you're not in entrepreneurship, or you're not in the same vibration, or you're not in the same industry, I didn't have a single conversation with those people. The people that were complaining about their problems. People that complain about their problems, that have a back problem or this problem or that problem or a crack problem, they're going to continuously have those problems because all they're doing is talking about their problems. I stayed away from all those people. They were good friends of ours from college. They were good buddies of ours that we considered in college, but they continued to do the same shit. And I wanted to get away from it personally. And so I disassociated myself from all that. And I think that's a big, big, big step that young people need to learn how to do, is disassociate people from people that aren't like-minded, people that just want to smoke pot and drink all day and just want to screw around, and get away from that and get around people that are striving for success, and spend more time with those people.
People that are open-minded too, that have goals, that have vision, that have belief. I have friends that started different kinds of businesses, not just the industry that we're in. It's just cool to be around people that are even people in their career. You know, like my brother's successful in his career, his fiance is successful in her career. You have cousins that are very successful, executives, lawyers, doctors, people that have like some sort of like desire to be great in something that they want to do, whatever it is. Even if you're in sanitation, you take out garbage, but if you want to be the best that there is and start an amazing company in that, I've never looked down upon anyone for what they want to do. It's more about how they do it and how they carry themselves. Now, on the come up in entrepreneurship, something that I think that's super important too is you're going to run across a lot of people, and you're going to see good people, bad people, people in the middle, and then also people are going to switch up on you from time to time. So you have to learn to, and this is something I think you do very well, you don't take it personal when someone makes a business decision that's against you. Yeah. You don't let them take advantage of you, but you don't look at it emotionally or take it personally. But you do ultimately protect the business and protect your interest without stepping on someone's toes. How do you recommend someone navigates that? Because situations will come up in business where you can do one of three things. You can get rolled over on and just be a coward. You can be unethical and screw people over, or you can find that like, it's like a holy middle ground where like you're an admirable, ethical, noble person and you have honor, but you're also stand up for yourself. How do you find that middle ground? It's tough for people to do that.
It's very tough for people to do that. That's a good question. I I would say like this came back from like all the way to like a self mastery that I had to create for myself. And that was to not let people live rent free in my head. If I got cut off in traffic, and if this guy cut me off and I get mad, essentially I'm the loser because he doesn't even know, but I'm mad and he wins because he has controls and he took the steering wheel control of my emotions. And taking something that small, but practicing it at that level on a higher level in business, and quickly understanding that elasticity, that bounce back time per se, that's what will really help you, kind of stay neutral. We've had people screw us over in business. We had people leave us. We had people we've trained for free that took value from us that's worth thousands of dollars, and then run away and go execute it somewhere else and not use it with us. And what do we always say is, we launched 100 mil with the value or the thought process to help over 100 million people live a better life. If this guy took this information from me and went across the street and started his own pizzeria and he's successful, or he's not successful, either way, I don't care if it helped his life or helped him live a better life. I'm happy. That's okay. Now, the thing is, the more time I ponder on the problem itself, the more time I'm wasting that I could be executing with good people in our company, with good friends, or with good relationships that I actually care more about. So when a problem does arise, or when an issue does happen, or when someone rolls over on us, or those types of things do happen to us, I look at it objectively. I say, okay, we cut the head off the dragon or the snake or whatever. We disassociate with that person. That person can't hurt our company or my business in any way, shape, or form anymore. They're gone elsewhere. That's okay. And then number three is, if I'm protected and they can't hurt me in some way, shape, or form, then all I need to do is move on and focus my energy on new people, different things, and protect myself from scenarios of that type of thing happening again in the future, potentially. So, I mean, you could roll over on people, just like you said, is you could do the unethical thing, or if you could do wrong things and steal their commissions or steal their compensation or cut off people's pay at the wrong timings. And you have the position to do that when you're an entrepreneur. But the karma kind of comes around and always bites you in the behind. So I don't care about that per se. If somebody did ethical business, they should get paid. If they took information from us and moved on, I think that they should move on. Good for them. I don't want to hold them back, but I'm just going to continue to do what I want to do.
100%. I think something that also pops up a lot in entrepreneurship is as you grow your organization. I watched this a lot of times when I was in the software industry. People, whether they were in sales or whether they were amazing engineers or they were amazing product people or business development or anything, people get to a point where you've created the business. You are the entrepreneur. You rolled the dice, you took the risk, and you want to reward people for what they bring to the table and the skills that they have. And over time, you want to create incentives for when the business becomes more successful and profitable, they become more successful and profitable. But people will try to hijack stuff sometimes, and they'll try to say that if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have X, Y, Z. When you get phrases like that, it's important to posture up. When I hear something like that, something that I learned from you is not to get emotional about it, but to store it in the back of your brain and know that there's a ticking clock and that person's probably going to leave your business. When someone comes to you and says, I'm making $150K a year salary as an engineer, I want to make $225K or I'm out, I have another offer. Now, you can make a business decision if you want to pay that person that 50% raise, and it might be in your best interest to do so. But just know that the clock is ticking and there's going to come a time where they leave, which is okay. People look out for their own best interest. I think a big mistake that people make is they do one of two things. One, they give them the raise and they just completely bend over. Two, they tell them to screw off and they lose the person altogether. The smart option in my mind is to find some sort of middle ground and negotiate and find some sort of more win-win type of scenario, show a little posture, but also give a little bit, but immediately start searching for a replacement. Yeah. Immediately start searching for the next person, start training the next person, start recruiting the next person. The minute someone enters into our solar business, there's probably about a 90% chance they won't be here forever. Yes, there's those 10% of people that are loyalists, that are loyal till the very end, but most people are loyal to the bag, loyal to themselves, and that's okay. So the minute someone's in your business, everybody has a different hourglass of time that they're going to stay in your business. The better the leader you are, the better the opportunity is, the better the vision is, the better the growth is. That creates the level of how long they'll stay. But some people just want to go and start their own business eventually, and there's nothing you can really do. They have their own vision, but you always have to be recruiting. Correct. You always have to be the one that has the lever. How do you maintain leverage in business without being arrogant or aggressive?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, being someone, and this is something that we've done very well in business together, and being those people that is continuously not relying their whole business on this specific leader, this specific person, this specific team, understanding that, just like you said, that this won't be here or these potential people may not be here long term. I would love to provide a great environment for them. I would love to lead them for as long as they'll be here with me. But my goal is to impact and help more people live a better life. So I'm not going to stop at this leader who's doing amazing. I'm going to go look for another one. I'm going to go look for another one. We love this phrase that we say, new flavor of the month. Why we say new flavor of the month is funny is because every month we recruit a top type of leader or person in our sales organization that comes in and everyone else is looking at. And they're like, holy crap, this guy's a beast. Holy crap, this guy's a beast. So you guys have to understand, if you have one top dog that's swimming in a pool for a long time, he's going to feel like he's a shark. But if you bring another shark into that pool every single month, the new shark is going to compete with the other shark. It's going to cause both of them to produce more. You bring a third shark into the pool, now you have three sharks. They're all competing. It's going to cause them all to produce more business, right? You might have a minnow that was watching all this happen and that was there with you from the start. But that minnow's eating little fishes and eating little goldfishes or whatever and getting bigger and bigger, turned into a piranha, getting a little bit bigger. And like that minnow finally is going to say, dang, I just watched the owners of this business bring in 5 sharks back to back that are all beasts. And that small minnow is going to turn into the 6th shark. That's going to turn into the next business.
Those are the best sharks there are.
Those are the best. The most loyal is those homegrown ones. You know, the ones that you have to negotiate the most for to bring on. Well, they might stay, but they might not. And there's a good chance they might move on. But that new flavor of the month type of thing, that's how we've kept our composure when someone tried in business or someone tries to say, hey, because of me, it's this, right? Number one, it's like, hey, I respect what you're saying, you know, and it's not just because of you. These are the things that we've done that's helped you create success as well. We bring value to the organization. But the thing is, frankly, we're working on continuing to bring new people that are doing the same thing that you're doing. So we've brought you to the best playing field in the organization or in the industry. Go execute. And if you want to go do this yourself, we'll go build this whole thing yourself and do it yourself. Do you really want to do that? Do you know what the cost is to be a boss? Do you know the daily effort that we put in every single day in leadership? Do you want to plug into a system that has everything included and just play the game? Or do you want to create the whole freaking console yourself and then create the games and then create the controllers and then do all that yourself?
Create the whole product.
Create the whole dang product. So some people, there's a cost to be the boss. Some people don't want to do that. And you need to understand your business that people will plug and play, and those are great. Some people will want to create their own console. That's great. Move on, go create another console. But you should be continuing to recruit for sure.
100%. Have you ever seen the show Mad Men?
I always wanted to watch it. I haven't seen it.
So they're these advertising executives, and they have like different accounts. Like imagine like a business, and we're going to run all the commercials for the business, and they pay them like a commission based off how much they spend on the commercial. That's how the advertising company makes revenue, and they come up with the creative.
Nice.
So the company, it's like Sterling Cooper at first, and they have this very large account called Lucky Strike. You've probably seen them inside the store. It's a cigarette company, Lucky Strike, owned by Philip Morris. At the time, they were all separate companies. So Lucky Strike is like 50% of their business plus. That's a risk. You have to identify that as a risk. When we're building leaders, let's say we have a team of 5 leaders. When I'm recruiting, yes, I'm looking for the best fit of where to place those individuals in one of those 5 leaders, but I'm also keeping track of their numbers. How many numbers is sales as leaders 1 team doing, leaders 2, leader 3, leader 4, leader 5, and trying to balance it out. I want them to be as closely even as possible. I want my business to be balanced. I don't want a Lucky Strike account where in Mad Men, Lucky Strike eventually leaves. They end up surviving, but it's a very tumultuous time for them. They have to like cut headcount, cut bonuses. So you have to be mindful of if you have that beachhead, figurehead type of account in any industry, any business, that's a huge risk. People look at it as a good thing, but it's actually a bad thing if you don't diversify.
Absolutely. I think that's very important, just what you said. I think another thing when it comes to the cost of being a boss, you know, in your beginning stages of entrepreneurship is reinvesting back into your business. That's something people are afraid to do and don't do enough. So, you know, let's kind of share a little bit with people our first few months in when it came to solar, for example. Reinvesting back into your business. It's so important. So, you know, before you and I started solar together, I've done entrepreneurship, frankly, for like 5 years or so before that, 5, 6 years. So I already understood what reinvesting back in your business kind of looked like. I already understood what the results could be. I already understood on a smaller scale or different scales what the return on investment could be, right? I'm curious because I want to ask you, because it was your first time actually learning it, because you didn't really have to do things like that in the past. So, you know, how was it when you first saw some big checks that we started to get in solar, started to get in, you know, prior entrepreneurship businesses? And how did you have to feel when you're like, do I take profit? Do I invest this? What do I do with it?
Thank God I was making money other ways.
Yeah.
That was the only, so it was, I guess, a less of a hit because of that.
Yeah.
It was delayed gratification for sure. It was I've always wanted to take it to the bank for sure. So it's like I'd say like cautiously optimistic. There is that like fear of like, well, is this going to work? Is this going to continue to pay out? Like, shouldn't I just take this money and be smart with it? It was challenging for sure, especially without like knowing if something was going to work before. Like if you have a proven formula where like you invest a certain amount into something and you've seen it pay out, it's one thing. But like when you're trying something new, like when we started lead gen or when we did the blitz houses and stuff, it was challenging for sure.
How many months did we go without actually taking a profit when we first started solar?
6.
6 months.
We invested everything back into the business for the first 6 months. I remember because I wanted to make the money.
No, but it was big checks. That's why I was very curious to ask him the question, because we worked for like 60 days. We made like 2-3K. We reinvested it back. We worked for like 120, but we had like 30-40K pending racked up in commissions. Then we started seeing the commissions hit 20K, 30K, 20K, 30K, but like we kept rolling it back into the business, and we said, let's roll this back in. Let's get a blitz house. Let's get flights. Let's pay for food. Let's get these people out. 5K into this state, 15 days, 3K in this state, 10 days, went to New Mexico. We went we did our blitz story, but we didn't take the profit at that time. And we were lucky as well, because just how you said, the next business is easier than the last business, and the next business is easier than the last business. That's something that's going to continue. So you currently, at the time of us starting, had a 6-figure plus income from your job, and I had a 6-figure plus income from my other businesses. So we didn't need to take a profit in solar.
It was definitely a nice thing.
Yes, that's what set us apart and made us a little bit different than other people when we launched the solar business. Was we were willing to go without taking the check. We were willing to reinvest and go in because we knew, let's go 10x, 10x. But we had to really have that faith, because we never saw insane success in solar ourselves. We didn't know what was actually possible. I've had friends that created success that made hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in solar, or I've had friends that I know that made 40K, 100K a month in solar, stuff like that. And you had friends that you knew that did very well in solar, but we just were like blind as a bat. Like we didn't know shit. We just went in thinking it was going to work.
We didn't know the install. We didn't know the install times. We didn't know much about the industry, really. Just kind of learned everything from scratch. And I think also investing back into your business is important with money, but also you have to invest time into something to see a result. For example, the money we were making, let's say 20K a month prior to being in solar, right? We had like a $250,000 income piece, something around those marks. A lot of people wouldn't have went on a plane to an obscure place like Tucson, Arizona, an Albuquerque, New Mexico, a Bakersfield, California, these different places in blitz for 10 days, leave our wives, leave our dogs, leave our houses, leave our comfortable beds to go sit in a blitz house and go knock doors.
8 guys, 4 beds.
I always had my own bed.
Like we had our own beds and still.
I never went ass to ass with nobody. But that's what you get when you pay for the Airbnb, of course. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a sacrifice. I'll never forget, we were in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we were like our last day of being there. And my wife called me and was upset because there was a frog in our house. I was like talking her through how to capture this frog.
And we were going to a Fogo de Chao, I think, like a Brazilian steakhouse.
We just finished the blitz. It was so funny. And I was like, shit, like I really feel like I should be there. But, what are you going to do? I'm here. I got to make the most of it. I remember the first blitz that we went on in Tucson. I still had a job. I was taking meetings. I was up at like 5 a.m. Tucson time, taking all my East Coast meetings, getting my day done, and then going and blitz. And I had COVID. So you had to do what you had to do. And I mean, the amount of meetings that we took, stuff that was going on. I remember the first year, like you still had your open enrollment period for insurance. You still had to maintain the book of business. We're all running the solar business, and you were still educating at the time. It was busy. We were busy.
Yeah, I think the hours, this is just how you said, there's a money investment, there's a time investment. We woke up probably like 6, 7 on a daily basis, and we slept at like midnight every single day. And we did this like 6 days a week. Sunday, we still put in some work. It was nonstop. Some people say, hey, If you like that 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, and you can turn your brain off after 5 p.m., that's perfectly fine for you. Entrepreneurship is not for you. Go back to bed. We literally were waking up at 6, 7 a.m. and we were taking call after call after call after call after call after call after call till midnight, literally every single day while we were building stages of our business.
It's not for hobbyists.
It's yeah, and it's not that we don't do that today. It's that we have delegated so that we don't have to be till midnight. Maybe it's 10 p.m. Maybe it's delegation of calls, and now we're working on different things in different areas in the organization as well as your progression in entrepreneurship kind of goes. But if you're not willing to put in those 60 hours or 70 hours, why do you think people say, hey, I'm going to the gym this early, I'm putting in these extra hours here? It's because they know that extra time or that extra money that they spend in the industry is going to set them far apart from other people. How did it set us far apart from other people? I've spoken to tons of people in solar. Many people say they haven't seen people that entered solar immediately as a dealer. They haven't seen people that had a success to getting 100 accounts a month within their first year in the solar industry. They haven't seen people get all the way up to over 150, close to 250 accounts a month, within their second year or third year in solar moving forward. And why did these things happen? It's because of the time investment and the money investment that we weren't afraid to make, and that you shouldn't be afraid to make when you're in entrepreneurship or whatever industry you're trying to build.
Yeah, no, and I mean the last thing I would say is grateful now that we've partnered up with a really good company and we get some amazing mentorship from the CEO of our partner company, Better Earth, Zane. So shout out to Zane if you're watching this. But for a very long time, we didn't really have too much mentorship when we started the business.
Yeah.
If you're someone that needs someone to tell you what to do, to tell you where to go, to tell you what to work on, to show you how to get better, it might not be for you always, entrepreneurship. A lot of times you have to figure it out yourself. I always laugh. You always say, tell them your story or your saying about looking in the mirror for expert.
I say for the longest time, because like people say I'm self-made or this or that, or some people say that phrase. Now, I'm not saying I'm self-made. The mentors that I've worked with or learned from are the people that have helped shape me to where I am today. But for a long period of time in solar, I didn't really have mentors, or we didn't really have mentorship in what we were doing. We had to look in the mirror to get expert advice because I couldn't trust anybody. I couldn't get advice from anybody. But I mean, when we even launched solar before that, what did I do? And I think those of you that are young, those of you that are trying to get into entrepreneurship need to get more comfortable, learn how to do, is I went out to dinner with people that created a 7-figure income in solar. I went out to dinner with people that ran a team that did 200 plus accounts a month. I went out and met people that were making $6 million a month, right, in a different industry. I flew to them. I flew to Vegas to meet someone that was super successful so I could pick his brain. I flew to Arizona to meet someone that's super successful so I could pick his brain. We flew to Utah to meet someone super successful so we could pick their brain. You have to understand that the information isn't going to come and be served to you on a freaking platter. You have to sack up and get out there and meet people that have created the success and say, can I take you out to dinner just so I can learn more about what you do? I'll pay. It's on me. Give me 30 minutes of your time, 40 minutes of your time so I could learn from you. That's what I did. Was I found the people, I shut up, and I listened. And I listened to what they had to overcome. I listened to what they had to do. I listened to what they did. And that's the information that I took. That was, maybe I would call that mentorship. And then I took it back home and then I ran with it. And that's when I shared information with you. And when I first did research about the solar industry and found out that it was a good industry, shared the information with you, and then we ran with it. But, what advice do you have for those, people that are younger trying to seek that information when they don't know what to do? Then we listened to somebody. We had this gentleman, Kenny. Sometimes we always, give back to Kenny. Shout out to you, Kenny, by the way. Kenny taught us solar A to Z. He taught us how to run a dealership. He taught us MPUs. He taught us red lines. He taught us this. He taught us that.
I don't know what an MPU was. We're just slamming panels.
This was a salaried person at a different company. And we gave him a couple solar deals that we sold and just got him paid on it, a couple $1,000 as like reimbursement. but we sat him down and interviewed the crap out of him for hours, and he taught us everything we needed to know. And then we went and ran with it to the point that he came and worked with us in the future. And he said, I've never seen someone execute with the information the way you guys have.
Yeah, I look at it almost like, to your point, what do you do as a younger person? Build a nest egg, build up a little bit of capital, save some money up, and then kind of like Goodfellas, the movie. You ever seen that movie? Yeah. Where he goes down with his soon-to-be wife, and they walk into that like big restaurant where the guy's like doing the singing on stage, and he like hands everybody dollar bills to get hooked up through. If you grease the wheels, you'll get it a little bit faster. We got those results from that individual, Kenny, because we were willing to pay him out. We were willing to bonus him out off of the production that we hit. So when we called, he answered, because we were compensating him for his time on top of what everybody else was doing. Yes, he was getting paid a salary, but if you want a little bit of a better treatment or a better experience from someone, don't be afraid to throw them a gift card, take them out to dinner, put a little money on the line. Maybe if they can't take specific funds, get them a vacation, give them some recognition online. Go the extra mile, but don't be cheap. A lot of people, you can't be an entrepreneur and be cheap. You can be frugal and you can be smart with money, but you can't be cheap. 100%. That's what I would leave you guys with for episode 4. Hope you guys got some value. We'll see you on episode 5.